everybody, welcome back to my channel and to today's video where we are going to be playing with the new Nomad Iceland Land Fire and Ice palette. I just got this in the post a few days ago and I'm really excited to try it out. I haven't even swatched it or touched it at all yet, so yeah, if you want to see my first impressions of this palette and two different looks with it, please keep watching. Hi everybody, so for those of you who are new here, hi, I'm Carolyn, welcome to my YouTube thing. If you're new, just to say that I live in the UK, and so sometimes it takes a little while for things to get to me, so I did order this palette, the Fire and Ice Iceland palette by Nomad on launch day, but it did take until when did it get here? Just about a week ago, and I've been trying to get back into the filming groove of things. So this is kind of my first palette review with the new setup, so I'm very excited about that. So this is what the outer packaging looks like. So I've taken it out of the box, and then I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to flash you with the mirror. And then this is what it looks like on the inside. And it's really beautiful. I love the fact that the outside is like this cold blue and the inside is this more kind of fiery red. I think that's really cool, kind of homage to this fire and ice theme that they're doing here. So I will go ahead and put up some swatches here. You guys will be the first to see them. I have not seen them yet. So the palette has a combination of different kinds of formulas. So it says it's a warm and cool toned eyeshadows formulated with extra fine pigments for stunning color payoff, infused with cloudberry seed oil to help moisturize and protect skin, 8 glimmering shimmers and 7 majestic mattes. So if we look at the palette, let's see. Sorry, I'm going to break it here. Okay, so the matte ones are Frigg here, and then Niflheim, Njord, Hekla, Muspelheim, Dark Castles, and Odin, and all the rest are different kinds of shimmers. So what I was thinking, and because this is like a fire and ice, it makes sense to do kind of two different looks, one that's kind of fire and one that's ice. So for the fire look, I'm going to go in with Hekla, Muspelheim, Dark Castles, and Hell probably, so these four here. And then for the cold, icy look, I'm going to do Frigg, Niflheim, and I'm not sure which shimmer, or maybe I can do Njord and Niflheim. Maybe these two might be a little bit nicer together. And then we'll decide which shimmer. There's quite a lot of cold shimmers, so I think there's good choices. And then this row down here is kind of like this pastel-y row, so I'm not sure whether I'm going to dip into those today or whether they'll leave them for another look in the future. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and zoom you guys in. We will prime my eyes and we will go ahead and get started on a look. Alright, so guys, this is my first time actually filming like a proper eye look with the new setup, and one thing I'm noticing is that the chair I'm using doesn't have an adjustable height, so if I just sat normally, all you would see would be like this top of me. So if it looks like I'm hunching, I am, to try and like get myself into frame. So I think what I might have to do is switch to using like my desk chair, like bring that in here so I could like do the height kind of things with that. Okay, so I think I'm going to start on this side and we're going to do the kind of fiery orange red kind of look. So I'm just starting with a larger fluffy brush. This is a Kaleidos S1, so it's just kind of like a big one to like lay down some of the color. So that is very pigmented looking on the brush. If you hear a lot of noise in the background, it's super windy here. It's snowing in the UK, kind of. It's like technically there's snow in the air, but nothing is actually accumulating. So let's go ahead and give this a... So I used a like translucent eye base rather than a white one. So it might be like that afterwards we could think whether, you know, would shadows pop up brighter with a light, like a more of a thick, opaque base. It's just something to think about, is which bases do you use depending on what kind of colors that you want and what kind of like intensity or brightness you want. But this is looking really bright already to me, and I don't like my colors like, I'd like them a little bit on the, I don't want to say washed out, but just not too overwhelmingly bright. So that went on that easily, so that's pretty pretty good. Just going in with a smaller brush. This is the ColourPop E9 brush into Muspelheim. So I'm probably going to go back and forth into a couple of colors, so don't think that I'm just laying them down once and then not going back into it. But if a palette's really easy to work with, there's no reason why you can't just kind of lay it down and be done with it. So far, these are very nice. I like the kind of color that we're getting. You can definitely see that there is a difference between these two shades. I was a bit worried on how different they might be from each other. I mean, they look different in the pan, but what I've realized recently is that the pan color doesn't necessarily reflect how it's going to look on your eyes. Okay, we're gonna go back into the Hecla one again and kind of just keep on adding that here just to make that a little bit more orangey and make sure the blend is really nice and soft and seamless. And then back in again with Muspelheim. They are coming off just a little bit on the translucent side, but I think once I get that brown mixed in, it's gonna probably really deepen this corner up a lot. But I think they're looking really pretty so far. So let's go in with Dark Castles, which is very, very dark. I'm just using the same E9 brush by ColourPop. This size for me works really well because I don't want to say small eyes, but I don't have a lot of lid space. And so I can't really use super large brushes for my eyes. It just kind of, they vanish. Not they vanish, they just like overtake like the entire eye and I can't see anything. I think that looks good. I like this color. It's really deep. It's almost like a gray chocolate brown, if that makes sense. Like it's obviously more warm toned, but it's not so warm that you couldn't use it with the other shades in here. Like I think this would go really nice with the cold shades just as well as it's looking here with the warm shades. Okay, so I'm not worried about this part in here because I am going to go over it with the red, or not with the red, with the shimmer. So I never really care about kind of how this inner corner bit here is looking. So let me just add a little bit more red to the top of this so we can really see that. So it kind of covered it up a little bit with the brown. I'm pretty happy so far. I think that looks really nice. What are we gonna do? We're gonna use a small, this is a Nabla N101 brush. It's just like a little flat paddly dude. And we're gonna go into Hell, which is a really pretty, kind of like a burgundy shimmer. I didn't pick up enough of that. It's just like the imprints and the pans are so pretty. I feel really bad about destroying them, but that's what we're doing. The whole point of makeup is to use it, right? It's not just to let it sit there and be pretty. As much as we might like to. So I didn't use a glitter primer or anything with this. I like to kind of see how these work first before I think about that. And I'm getting a little bit of fallout, but really not very much. So that's pretty good so far. Just kind of do kind of like a faux cut creasy dude there. I think that's a really pretty color. I wonder if it would foil even a little bit more. Yeah. It'll definitely foil a little bit more if you use your finger. So I'm just gonna go back into Hecla and just pull a little bit of that orange down into here because it felt a little bit naked right there. And then I'm gonna go back in to Dark Castles and just kind of pull it in here just so I get kind of the shape that I want. I like to try and make my eyes look a little bit more elongated. So I pulled the matte in like that to give it a little bit of a longer shape. I mean, when I open my eyes fully, you can see that most of it's covered because I have hooded eyes, but I know it's there. That's what's important. And I'm just doing a little bit more of the red. So the only thing that I think is missing in this palette is a bright light highlighty kind of color. So I'm just going to go back in with my ABH. This is the iced out highlighter. It might be a bit too cool. Let's just kind of see, because I feel like there's plenty of cool toned shimmer, light shimmer colors like River Glacier or even Elves, but the only warm shimmer I feel is Hell and Gallows Lava, and that's green, and I didn't want to go for, surprisingly, I didn't want to go for a green look today, which I know is like weird for me. I'll come back in and brighten that up even more, but I just wanted to put a little bit to give it a little bit of a pop. All right, I'm just going to clean a few brushes and then let's go ahead and move into the icy look. So over here, sorry if the angle's not great, guys. I'm still trying to figure out how to get all this camera set up to work. All right, just making sure the primer's okay. I'm going to start with a ColourPop E2 brush. It's another big kind of fluffy one. It's pretty big, but I just like to always put down like a big base of color. So I'm going to go in with Njord. Just kind of this icy blue tealy kind of color, and start it here. You see that okay? And again, we're just kind of doing the same thing. So I used 4 colors here. We're gonna try and use about 4 colors here. This is, I know it's maybe a bit on the basic side, but this is just kind of how I do my everyday looks. I'm not that creative when it comes to eyeshadow looks. I think I kind of stick to what works for me, which may be, sorry, I realize I'm like way off to one side of the frame. It may be a bit, I don't know, boring, but it's always kind of the same. I don't want to say it's the same look because it's not the same look, but it's a little bit like the same style of doing it every time. I would like to be more creative with these, so I'm hoping that as I move forward with the channel that we will progress into that. I'm going to use a Nomad N203, which is just a really small little brush, into Nifheim. It was really pretty dark blue. And let's go ahead and see. That's a really pretty color. I like that. I don't always get on with blues. I know it seems really weird, but sometimes this brush is a bit too soft. I'm gonna switch to that ColourPop cat hair, E9. I really like the Nobla brushes. They're just a little bit soft for me. I like a really stiff brush, especially when I'm laying down color like this. I think a stiff brush works a little bit better. Okay, and then I'm just working that into the crease and then over and then back and forth. So I'm laying it down first and really putting it into the position that I want it, and then buffing it in. Blues, if you're not careful, you can really make it look pretty terrible quickly, in my opinion. So you kind of pack it down where you want it first, and then go ahead and buff out the edges a little bit. So I'm just gonna bring it up here a little bit. I'm gonna clean up this edge. Oof, yeah, a lot. Just cleaning the brush. There's a bit too much product on it. It's a little bit, do you see? A little bit patchy. There's some dark and light patches. So I'll come back in with the color and we will try and fix that. And I just want to say I'm not, if I get patchiness like that, I always want to like test it out again with like a different primer and different colors, because chances are it's something to do with my eyes and not necessarily the fault of the shadows. I do get bald patches on my eyes in quite a few places, and it doesn't matter what eyeshadow I'm using or what primer I'm using. So I don't know if you can see, but there's still some like patches where it's really not wanting to stick, which is fine actually, because I'm going to do a winged liner. I'm going to cover most of it up, so I'm not really like that fussed about it, but let me just have a look. Yeah, so what we'll do is we'll go back into the Njord color and, you know, kind of buff out this upper bit here and buff it out in this way, and I think we should be able to, I think we should be able to kind of clean this up a little bit here. But I do struggle with really, really dark pigmented shadows sometimes, so I'm not surprised that I'm having a little bit of trouble. I don't think it's the palette. At this stage, I think I'd have to come back and do some further looks to make sure that it's me that's at fault. So we're going to go into God's Waterfall, which is a really pretty kind of mid-toned tealy shimmer. All right, and what we're going to do is we're going to put that on the kind of this part. We're going to leave this little bit in here for another shimmer. Oh, that is a really pretty color, guys. Oh, I'm using a Nabla 301. It's kind of like a slightly fluffy flat brush. I really, really like that color. I think that's so pretty. Might go and put a little bit more. And then we're gonna do River Glacier, which is a really bright color, on this like inner, this inner bit here. And just kind of blend the two in there together. That is very dark and very smoky. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I am going to, well, I'm really off center now, sorry. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and clean up. I will kind of just do a little bit on the rest of my face. Again, I'm not really in the mood for a full beat today, so I'm just going to put a little bit of concealer, some cheeks, some highlighter, and some lips, and we're just going to call it a day. I do want to test out some foundation soon, so we will be doing some full beat days coming up. So let me go ahead and do that, and then we will zoom out and I will show you what the final looks look like. Okay, so this is the final look. Obviously the face is not like amazing. I just put a little bit of blush and highlighter and some lippies on and stuff, and that's like kind of it. Oh, and a bit of concealer. I'm playing with the new Kosas concealer. This is the, what is it called? Super Creamy Brightening Concealer. This is in the color 1C, 1.5C, sorry, in case you're curious, which I think actually it's a little bit light, but it's supposed to be for brightening kind of the under eyes, so I figured I should go with a slightly lighter color. Anyway, that is not part of this review. So, what do we think? I think they worked really beautifully, and actually the final looks are really beautiful. So I'm very happy with this. I think we got to try out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 out of 15. So that's more than 50. That's, yeah, more than 50%. So I really like it so far. Obviously this is not like a full review because I haven't seen how it wears over the day. I haven't seen whether I get any like, you know, balding patches or creasing or anything like that. So I'm gonna reserve like a full review for later. I think I'm gonna start trying to do some monthly roundup videos to kind of give some final impressions of things as I continue to try them, like on the days when I'm not filming, because I do, if I'm having meetings at work, I do wear like full eye looks like this. So it seems reasonable to keep on trying a few products. So leave behind the old stuff that I like using and try the new stuff that might become my new favorites. So overall, I'm pretty happy. The only color I had trouble with was that really dark blue. So I'd like to give it another shot with like a different primer, a different brush, a different day of the week, who knows? You never know how like weather and stuff affect your makeup. I know that sounds really silly and I'm not trying to give an excuse to the product, but I think a first impression video is really just like, it's what you first think about it, and a real review is after you've used it a few more times and get a full feeling for the palette. So I am going to try it again. The other shadows worked so beautifully. The shimmers, so pretty. Really beautiful, guys. I love those. So yeah. Oh, let's see how it looks with the glasses on, right? Because for those of you out there who are glasses wearers, the worst thing is that you put on your glasses and all of a sudden you can't see the work that you've done. So I think that's why I tend to be a little bit more over the top, like with more dramatic looks, because I wear glasses, and so I want something that's a little bit more fun. So that's what we got. I'm pretty happy. So yeah. Alright guys, well if you enjoyed this video, you could hit the like button down below. You could subscribe. Come hang out with me again. I am trying to be more on top of a filming schedule nowadays, so fingers crossed. We are so close to 1,000 subscribers and I am, oh my god, so I'm so excited. I'm gonna film more of my decluttering series this afternoon, so I'm ready to get rid of some more stuff. Anyway, I hope you guys have a really lovely day wherever you are, and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye.